Indian Oil Corporation today declared its results for the October-December quarter, and in which reported a net profit of 3,995 crores, which is a stellar growth over the year-ago period, but still somehow was lower than what the market expected, and hence the share price tanked initially. We have with us to speak to us the chairman of Indian Oil Corporation, Mr. B. Ashok, to give us an insight into the quarter gone by and what lies ahead. Sir, if I could point the first question at you about the quarter gone by and your net profit, despite such a stellar margin, the share price, your share price tanked initially. There was an initial negative sentiment in the market. Would you also say that while the rise was there, this was below your expectations given some factors maybe?
Well, I think we had an outstanding quarter. In terms of numbers, it's not only the financial numbers, the physical numbers were outstanding. And I think we have shown all-round growth in terms of revenue growth. There has been substantial revenue growth of more than 19%. Our profit after tax has gone up by 29%. And our GRMs have also been quite healthy. Of course, I would say that the reasons for our good growth have been the excellent physical performance, operational performance, besides gains on inventory count. I mean, last couple of years, we have been actually suffering huge inventory losses. Of course, this year it's been a turnaround from that aspect, and because of the substantial gains in inventory, so our results are outstandingly good. So on a 9-month period, our profits are actually about 15,386 crores, which is a record of sorts. I don't think we have ever before recorded this sort of profit level. I'm not very sure as to what was the expectation of the market or the reasoning for the same. Suffice it to say that we have made a provision of about 1,970 crores on account of certain entry tax principles which are based on a Supreme Court's overall verdict. So we believe that this is the right thing to do. So we have made that provision. So depending on the case or how it goes, maybe we may need to make the payment sometime in the future. So we thought we will take that step right now. So probably if we had not taken that into account, then our profits would have shown up by another 2,000 crores. So which we thought, in our view, the right thing to do was to make a provision.
The provision of 1,970 crores, and the expectation of the market was around 5,500 crores. So the number adds up if it does. So, sir, if I could ask you a few questions about the company going ahead and your plans going ahead. How, first of all, the nearest term outlook would be, how do you see quarter 4 panning out for you in terms of, say, gross refinery margins and also crude? Where do you see crude hovering over the next quarter? And if you could talk about crude over the next year also?
Well, in terms of the crude prices, no doubt there has been a recent firming up of crude prices based on the opaque and the non-opaque deliberations. I personally believe, and I believe from a country's perspective also, that the prices should be in a reasonable band, which actually encourages both the producer as well as the consumer. So the current band is what I expect that the crude prices would settle on, principally because of a couple of reasons. Number one is, probably other than India and maybe a couple of more countries, the rest of the world has not really seen any significant uptake in terms of the crude requirement. The second thing is, there are also signs of the US, rig counts going up. So obviously, when the prices go beyond a point, it encourages more and more people to come back into business. So I think it's a good position to be in as far as India is concerned, that these things will make sure that the prices do not go up beyond any reasonable level, as I said. So going forward in this quarter as well as in the next year, I believe that the prices are likely to be range bound. So in terms of an inventory impact on our performance, I don't see the inventory impact to be as substantial during the next year as what it has been over the last 3 years, I would say. I mean, either way around. A couple of years we had huge losses, and this year we are having some gains. So I don't foresee any sort of inventory impact to really make an impact on our financial performance.
Right, sir. Now, to speak about the most talked about refinery of yours, the Paradip refinery, which just was commissioned some months back. Now, you said that Q3 actually had some minor impact of Paradip coming into action. Some profits are now beginning to come in. Could you tell us a little more about Paradip? What capacity is it functioning at right now? What is the direction that you see by the end of the coming fiscal? How much of your revenues do you see Paradip accounting for? A little more insight into Paradip going ahead through the last quarter and then remainder of the next fiscal?
See, as far as the last 9 months are concerned, the Paradip refinery, though commissioned, was still on a stabilization mode. So in the 9-month period, the impact of Paradip as such has not been there. I mean, there is no positive impact of Paradip refinery on our bottom line. In fact, on the contrary, because of the frequent shutdowns and restarting of various units, there are certain operational parameters which are actually worse than what the design should be. But currently, we are happy to share that the refinery is almost stable and it's operating between 80 and 90% of its capacity. So during the final quarter, I think this will have some positive impact on our performance. And going forward for the next year, definitely we believe that Paradip refinery should be operating very close to its design capacity.
Right. So my last question will be in 3 very short parts. The keywords here are diversification and broadening your basket, the words that you used. In terms of diversification, you said your petrochemical business accounts for about 20% of your profits. Now, in terms of diversification, where is Indian Oil headed? If you could share some plans on that. 2, in terms of broadening your crude basket, you spoke about importing, procuring crude from some Latin American and Middle Eastern countries. If you could give us some details on that. And the third thing being establishing your presence in new markets, maybe in the downstream business. You spoke about a few countries. If you could give us details about that.
I think, if you look at the oil companies in India, probably we are one of the most diversified of all. I mean, we are in the space right from upstream to downstream, including petrochemicals as well as natural gas. While we are the largest player in the core fuels business, we are the second largest player in petrochemicals as well as in natural gas. And moving forward, we are expanding quite aggressively in both petrochemicals as well as natural gas. Petrochemicals, certainly, after our naphtha cracker has come in and, we have also stabilized our plant, expanded our plant of LAB and so on. It has been really giving us very good results. And, even last year, we had close to 25 to 30% of our contribution coming from the petrochemicals plant. The story continues in the current year. The good story continues in the current year. And, more than 20% of our profits are coming from the petrochemical space. We think that the contribution from natural gas also should similarly start coming in from next year once our volumes go up. And so that's it. On the upstream front also, we have taken some good decisions last year in terms of investments in big fields in Russia and so on. We are keeping our eyes open for opportunities of this nature, and we are continuously on an evaluation spree. Then as far as our overseas presence is concerned, we are already operating in a few countries in the neighborhood. You know that we are already there in Sri Lanka, we are in Mauritius. We also supply to most of the neighboring countries, whether it is Nepal or Bhutan and so on. We are constantly in dialogue with the countries concerned. We also believe that there are some good opportunities coming up in Bangladesh and in Myanmar and so on. So we are looking at those opportunities in a positive sense in the downstream. Basically marketing. Some places it could be LPG, some places it could be LPG and retail and so on. So where things are opening up, I'm certain that we as a company can bring value to the consumers in those places as well. We are also looking at some markets in Africa for expansion in downstream. In fact, one of the things which has happened is the amount of initiatives that we have taken on the LPG front has actually made the world sit up and notice. So many of them are interested in the model that we are working in and how we have managed to reach clean energy to the people who are using traditional fuels and so on. So I think going forward we have a very good opportunity, and I think India as a whole and Indian Oil definitely as the biggest player in that we would be certainly willing to cooperate with all those countries, and we think that as opportunities open up, we need to be in those businesses spaces as well. So that's what we are working on.
Right, so one last question, I just remembered. Could you give us a timeline on when negotiations with Iran on the Farzad project could be completed? Just a timeline, if there is one already that you could share with us.
No, I mean, timelines are there, but the point is, I mean, the timelines were behind us. But we are negotiating, and I think very soon we should come up with some sort of a decision.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to Bloomberg Quint. Thank you so much, sir.